This is the Steele Report.
This week on the Steele Report, a very timely program as my guests will advance the conversation which has been dominating this troubling time in our nation of late. Sparked by the police custody death of George Floyd in Minneapolis nearly 2 weeks ago, we have all been watching the protesters and demonstrators around the country and right here in Eastern Iowa come out literally by the tens of thousands to call for justice and monumental change to eliminate racism and racial profiling while advancing fairness, equity, equality at all levels. And that in itself, of course, is a monumental challenge, but one which must be implemented for the sake of all Americans and the future of our nation. Once again today, due to COVID-19 social distancing practices, our show will come to you via Zoom video conferencing. And my first guests are father and son co-founders of ICU, the Inclusive Cultural University, Del Marion and his son John Marion of Des Moines. Del and John hope to bring their ICU, the Inclusive Cultural University, right here to the Cedar Valley soon. We'll talk about that. And later in the program, we'll check in with KWWL political analyst Dr. Chris Larimer for his thoughts on this week's primary election results. And our program begins right now.
Now from KWWL, this is the Steele Report.
And Del, let's start with you. And what were your thoughts when you saw the way the officer had treated Mr. Floyd in Minneapolis almost 2 weeks ago now? And these thoughts come back again and again, don't they?
Ron, it was very sad to me. It's something that I probably have witnessed more times than I care to mention. It was extremely sad.
And John, you are an Iowa State graduate. What are your thoughts as a young person who's just getting started in life?
I'm in a new chapter in my life right now, actually, with a 8.5-year-old son. That 8.5 that half is very important, and 5-year-old son as well. And it dawned on me that many of the events that are transpiring today are very similar to the events that were taking place when I was 8.5 and 5. And so it's been a catalyst to why I'm embarking on the events in the chapter that I'm on right now.
It's called Inclusive Cultural University. And tell us what that's all about and what was the catalyst for that.
Well, I can honestly say that, first off, there's no other movement or organization that's been created to truly connect and uplift our society with this type of unconventional platform like the Inclusive Cultural University. And that's a mouthful. So it's easy to sum it up with ICU, meaning I respect you, that I acknowledge you. It's a simple message of substance. Matter of fact, it's more like a campaign of consciousness. And in this campaign, is looking to identify the individuals, organizations, and corporations that are about true, authentic change with a foundation of respect. To give respect and expect respect. With some of the things that we've been taking place and transpiring over the past few weeks, we see that on all sides, we have, in a way, I kind of dub them as double agents. This is really about making things a little bit more black and white. Are you a part of the problem or are you part of the solution? And when you see a problem, you have the confidence to address those issues. So you said, yes, I want to kind of address the elephant in the room. This is no hidden agenda. Embarked in this journey a little over 3 years ago, coming up on 4 years ago. And I would like to pass it on to my chief consultant, who happens to also be my father, that he has an expertise in what initially we're doing going into the schools first. And that could be a great segue to just how this all started.
Ron, I've actually had a passion for this part of a problem in our society for probably the majority of my life. And it all started with me just volunteering in schools. And so I've been in the community for probably 25 years or so here in Iowa, doing a lot of voluntary work. And that's really how the idea came about. It started at Valley High School when there was a racial disturbance that took place at Valley High School. I invited my son to a meeting. There were probably over 200 people in the meeting, and people kept saying, what are we going to do next? My son came up with the idea and shared it with me a couple of days later from that meeting.
But where does ICU fit in this change?
Well, I can start by saying, instead of us talking about being agents of change, which I've been hearing all my life, ICU presents the opportunity to literally have something that symbolizes being an ICU change agent. Again, to give respect and expect respect. So initially, ICU was created to go into the schools because once all this is done in a matter of a few months, kind of not forgetting that there's a many youth that are watching this all transpire before their eyes. And they're going to carry the same type of energy right into the schools. So we've been going to the schools addressing bullying, drugs, or any other issues going on in those hallways, but also challenging and confronting not just the students, but the parents and the teachers to all meet on a foundation of respect first. We go into corporations and we address some of the issues that go on with that, whether it's microaggressions, whether it's diversity and inclusion issues as well, but ultimately starting with a foundation of respect so you can have talent retention as well and create those partnerships and those people that are willing to sponsor these projects. But the biggest one is we see as transpiring with us today, and you keep on hearing people talk about disrespect. We having an issue between our law enforcement and the community at large. And we've been utilizing this platform to be able to galvanize and to see not just the chiefs, but the sheriffs and the officers that are willing to say, hey, we're here to protect you. We see you, and allow there be an opportunity to meet in the middle, but also the community to be able to say, hey, I see you, I respect you. So this is really about a visual buy-in.
Ron, we've also been doing roll calls with local police officers as well as the sheriff department. So we've actually got firsthand knowledge in terms of interacting and building relationships with those officers. We've also been invited to police academies too, to work with police officers prior to them hitting the street. So Ron, this platform is designed for a CEO all the way to a fifth grader. And we are working with everyone in between.
By the way, guys, we want to show the audience here real quickly. There's a video on the ICU webpage, John. So I'm going to show that right now. We'll get your reaction. Let's take a look at that video right now for the audience.
With this wristband, I represent the Inclusive Cultural University. I see you.
I see you. I respect you. I acknowledge you.
It symbolizes I'm consciously striving to seek unity.
To be understanding of others.
To be understanding of others' uniqueness
instead of
practicing prejudice,
racism
and fear.
I pledge to fully
value and respect
all for who they are.
When I wear this wristband,
know that I see you.
Know that I see you.
I see you.
I see you.
So that's a real brief look at what ICU is all about. How will you implement it? You're already in Central Iowa, I think is your main focus, but you're coming to the Cedar Valley, or at least that's your hope here and the intent in the near future.
Ron, the community actually reached out to us.
Good.
So
okay.
Cedar Falls Utility Company reached out to us, and we've already done orientation workshop for their entire organization. And from that, we've already spent 3 days with the sheriff department, with Sheriff Tony there as well. And so based off of some of the issues that's happening in that part of the state, we feel it's a great way to launch ICU, to build a template for the entire state there.
You mentioned they contacted you, so that must have been a pretty good feeling to know that the word is getting out about ICU.
Yes, they did via the website, which is also the vision, ICUworldwide.com, where we feel like we have an opportunity that identify individuals and corporations that want to fully value and respect all people. And because this is such an orthodox approach towards how we're interacting, it continues the conversation. So when we saw a corporation that was willing to see what this platform was used for, what it's about, and it's a different energy and a different vibe about approaching it with our orientations and workshops. It seemed like all we needed to do was continue to press forward, and we will see the individuals and the organizations that see what this is about change that you can see. We just had to stay the course.
We'll continue our ICU Inclusive Cultural University discussion right here in just a moment. Welcome back as we continue our discussion with ICU, the Inclusive Cultural University co-founders Del and John Marion, talking about their program of equality and inclusion for all.
Ron, we believe that this is the call of action that not only the state is looking for, but the country's looking for.
Mm-hmm. You know, and Del, in some ways, it looks like ICU is way out in front of everybody else. Do you feel that way? You think the change that you've started, can it connect with America and islands?
Ron, I believe that this platform is revolutionized. It's going to revolutionize our country. And I believe that the logo, which is a brand now, what my son created, is going to be recognized as one of the most outstanding brands that's ever been created in the history of this world.
John, I think he had a good endorsement for you there.
Yes, I always want to clarify that I feel very blessed to have my father as my chief consultant. Wouldn't be here without him, literally. And when it's all said and done, this is not about being perfect, and this is not about me. I personally give all the credit to the creator, hallelujah. But what's been special about this is that there's people that don't share my same faith, that they've been able to identify with this platform and say, hey, we can agree to disagree with respect. And so to see that take place with complete strangers, people that I haven't seen in months, that they say that, hey, I see you. And it's as if they're family. My son say, when they see an ICU agent, they say, sir, they say, Dad, it's like we seeing family. And I said, absolutely, son. So this is something that we know that it's not going to stop. It's a campaign of consciousness, very calculated and strategic.
And Ron, if I could step in for a second, if I'd like to have my son explain the logo so people understand it who haven't seen it before.
Absolutely. John, what's it all about? You designed it.
Well, sometimes I have to tell people it should look like an eye, literally. And you see ICU in there, right? And that little dot, right, it represents literally the pupil of the eye. And the pupil of the eye is where light's allowed to be let in, how images reflects in our retina, and that's how we literally see. But what's another definition for pupil? Student. Hence the idea of a university where I like to say that we're forever students that we can learn from one another, right? We try to make everything black and white. I'm right, you're wrong in this society. And a lot of times what we're hearing nowadays, especially, if you disagree with me, you're dead to me. But that's not how I'm rearing my sons, and that's not what they're learning in school. So what we dare to do is operate in that gray area, right? Meet in the middle. If I had my 5-year-old, I say, hey, what is black plus white made when you mix those colors? Well, Dad, it makes gray. Absolutely. We got to operate in that gray area, be able to agree to disagree with respect. Lastly, the orange. I went to Valley High School, so there's irony that there's all Valley Tiger colors in there, but that's not always the purpose of it. So follow me with the C's. What do we do when we're meeting up with someone for the first time, right? We're just trying to connect, be cordial, be able to maybe communicate and convey our ideas as clearly as possible. If you see all the C's I'm using, do you see me, Ron? With that being said, I'd like to say that the orange is about what are we trying to do in our community? We're trying to build a consciousness. And in this campaign of consciousness, as we're constructing this, when they utilize orange when building anything, it means a safety zone, right? Safety orange. Well, think about how many times people are going to schools and they don't feel so safe, whether they're getting bullied or their schools in the past have been getting shot up. You can't even go grocery shopping anymore without potentially being attacked. So again, this is about me starting as an individual saying, I see you, no matter who you are, your background. And as an individual, I'm going to give you respect and expect respect. I'm a walking safe zone. And we want to duplicate and make ICU campuses and other organizations in communities and corporations in cities. So you can identify areas that they have a foundation of respect from the very beginning with any interaction. ICU worldwide.
Fantastic. Del, let me ask you, what's the next step for the Cedar Valley area, Waterloo, Cedar Falls?
Oh, well, before I do that, Ron, I'm just going to show you, this here is our platform, if you can see it. And I just wanted to give you a quick glance at it. So we have some marketing strategies in terms of how we're going to implement ICU, not only in the state of Iowa, but the entire country, and then eventually the world. The next step right now is that we plan on coming up to Cedar Falls and Waterloo and partnering with the school districts, the police departments, major corporations, and right now we're in the process of having dialogue with the University of Northern Iowa.
So you'll be calling a press conference sometime in the near future and try to get the word out about what ICU is going to do in this area. So that'll be fantastic.
A couple of things. We plan on also offering this platform to the NFL because of the situation that they've been in for several years, as well as the NBA. And so those are some things too that we want to mention. Right now, Ron, this platform is designed for everyone who wants to be included. The other thing too, Ron, this platform is not about politics. It's not about religion. So we want to make that perfectly clear. And so this is also too a call of action. So people will be able to take a pledge to be a part of ICU. It's not going to be forced on anyone.
ICU was created and works and operates in every space that's occupied by people. It's built for us to be able to truly see the change in our community. However, I'm going to be very honest. Not everyone's going to see this because not everybody is ready to do this the right way, which is starting with a foundation of respect. And if you think about it, every issue in our country, in our society, in our world came down to someone feeling disrespected. And so with us trying to establish how do we go about doing this, we're creating a space where we can have that communication, which we like to say the mission, should you choose to accept it, is to invite, communicate, and unite. I see you, if you caught that. And what we're wanting to do is truly create some form, starting with the individual, of momentum during this monumental time in our history. So we will continue to press forward. I left corporate America a little over 3 years ago, and I'm all in, and we're looking to see who else is part of this campaign of consciousness as well.
And a big thank you to Del and John Marion. We'll keep you up to date on their Cedar Valley ICU initiative. Coming up next, though, KWWL political analyst Dr. Chris Larimer of UNI on the primary election. We'll be right back.